Imagine lying awake in the small hours of the morning, the house silent, except for the faint creak of the floorboards settling under the weight of night. Your chest feels heavy, not with your own sorrow exactly, but with something larger, something borrowed. The argument your neighbor had with his wife 3 doors down echoes inside you like it was your own marriage breaking apart. The grief of a stranger you passed on the street earlier clings to your skin like damp fog. You didn't ask for it. You never asked to feel the world so deeply that it sometimes feels as though the world is feeling you instead. And in that quiet, suffocating moment, a question rises like smoke. Why me? Why does every sharp edge of human pain seem to find its way straight to my heart? If you've ever asked that question, if you've ever felt like your sensitivity is both the most beautiful and the most unbearable thing about you, then listen closely. Because what you're experiencing isn't a flaw. It's not a curse. It's the raw material of something ancient, something powerful. Carl Jung, the man who mapped the hidden landscapes of the human soul, would have looked at you and seen not a victim of too much feeling, but the early stirrings of an untouchable awakening. He would have called your pain the very forge where your true power is being shaped. Here he is, Carl Jung himself, gazing out from another time with those deep, knowing eyes that seem to have already seen the bottom of every human heart. And another glimpse of him, quieter, more contemplative, as though he's still listening to the whispers of the unconscious even now. Jung never spoke directly of empaths in the modern sense. The word wasn't in his vocabulary the way it is now. But he understood the soul that feels too much. He understood the person whose boundaries are thin, whose inner world is porous, who absorbs the collective shadows of everyone around them. He called it walking close to the unconscious, that vast underground river that connects us all. And he knew one brutal truth above all others. There's no coming to consciousness without pain. No real growth, no genuine depth, no true strength that hasn't first been cracked open by suffering. Picture this. A young Carl Jung, brilliant, ambitious, already a doctor, but haunted by visions that came unbidden. Visions of blood, of fire, of gods and demons tearing at the fabric of reality. He could have turned away. He could have called it madness and shut the door. Instead, he walked straight into the storm. He descended into what he later called his confrontation with the unconscious. Years of it, terrifying dreams, floods of emotion that threatened to drown him. He described it as being seized by the archetypes themselves, as though the soul of humanity was speaking through him, demanding to be heard. And in that descent, he discovered something revolutionary. The darkness isn't the enemy, it's the root system. No tree, he would later write, can grow to heaven unless its roots reach down to hell. Let that image settle deep inside you. Look at this ancient tree, its roots plunging wide and fearless into the black earth, gripping the darkness like it's the most natural thing in the world. And here another one, vast and glowing, roots sprawling as if claiming every hidden sorrow as fuel for its upward reach. This is what your early years of feeling too much looked like on the inside. Not pretty, not comfortable, but necessary. The deeper the roots, the taller the reach. And you, dear one, have roots most people never dare to grow. That image has stayed with me for years. Think about it. A tree stretching toward the light, branches wide and proud, leaves drinking in the sun. But beneath the soil, hidden from view, its roots plunge deep into the black, cold earth, into decay, into rot, into the places where everything dies and is reborn. Without those roots gripping the darkness, the tree would be shallow, fragile, easily toppled by the first strong wind. Your pain works the same way. Every time you've felt overwhelmed by someone else's sorrow, every time you've carried grief that wasn't yours, every time you've wept for the cruelty of the world when no one else seemed to notice, those moments were your roots reaching down. They were painful, they were terrifying, but they were necessary. They were making you deeper. They were making you unbreakable. Now, let's be honest. Most people spend their lives running from that darkness. They build walls, numb themselves with distractions, chase positivity like it's oxygen, and society applauds them for it. Stay strong, we say. Don't let it get to you. But the empath, the one who feels everything, can't run. The pain follows. It seeps through the cracks. And at first that feels like weakness.
You think, why can't I just turn it off? Why am I so affected? You may have spent years trying to fix yourself, wondering if you're broken because you can't watch the news without your heart cracking open, because a friend's casual hurt lingers in your body for days. But Jung saw something different. He saw the wounded healer, the archetype of the one who suffers not despite their gift, but because of it. Chiron, the wise centaur of Greek myth, struck by a poisoned arrow that never heals, yet he becomes the greatest teacher of healing. The wound never leaves him, but it becomes the source of his wisdom. Your sensitivity is that wound. It hurts because it's open. It hurts because it's alive. And the moment you stop fighting it, the moment you stop trying to seal yourself shut, something extraordinary begins to happen. The pain stops being something that happens to you and starts becoming something you hold. You become the container instead of the spilled contents. This is where the awakening begins, not in escape, but in embrace. Jung called the process individuation, the long, often brutal journey toward becoming who you truly are. It means facing the shadow, your own and the world's. The shadow isn't just the bad parts you hide, it's everything you've disowned, the rage you never let yourself feel, the needs you buried to keep the peace, the power you fear because it might make you seem too much. For the empath, the shadow often hides in the compulsion to rescue, to merge, to disappear into someone else's story so you don't have to face your own. It's the secret belief that if you can absorb enough pain, if you can love hard enough, fix enough, then maybe the chaos will stop. But it never does. Not until you turn inward. I remember the turning point for so many people I've spoken with who walk this path. It's rarely dramatic. It's quiet. It's the night you finally say no, not out of anger, but out of reverence for your own soul. You feel the familiar pull, the friend's crisis, the family's unspoken grief, the collective ache of the world. And instead of diving in, you pause, you breathe, you ask, is this mine? And if it's not, you let it pass through like wind through branches. Not with coldness, not with rejection, but with the calm certainty that you can feel it, honor it, and still remain whole. That single act changes everything. Because now you're no longer a sponge soaking up the collective unconscious. You're a mirror, reflecting it back with clarity, with compassion, but without losing yourself in the reflection. Jung would say you've begun to integrate the opposites, the light and the dark, the healer and the wounded, the sensitivity and the strength. And in that integration, you become untouchable. Not because you're hardened, not because you've stopped feeling, but because you've learned to feel everything without being swept away. Your empathy becomes precise. Your presence becomes powerful. People sense it before you even speak. They feel seen in a way that terrifies them and draws them closer at the same time. Predators recoil.
The truly broken are comforted. And you? You stand in the center, rooted deep, reaching high. This is the empath's untouchable awakening. Not the absence of pain, but the transformation of it. Your suffering was never punishment. It was initiation. It was the fire that burned away everything false until only what is real remained. And what remains is extraordinary. A human being who can walk through the darkness of others without losing their light, who can hold the collective sorrow without crumbling, who can love fiercely without dissolving. And so the awakening continues, not as a sudden flash of light, but as a slow, deliberate unfolding, season after season, like the way spring doesn't announce itself with fanfare, but creeps into the branches until one day you look up and the whole world is green again. The real work, the lifelong work, begins in earnest. You've stopped running from the pain. You've stopped trying to cauterize your openness. You've begun to say, quietly but firmly, "This belongs to me, and this does not." That boundary isn't a wall, it's a membrane, intelligent and alive. It lets through what needs to pass, what can teach, what can be transmuted, and it gently deflects what would only drown you. This is where so many empaths falter, not because they lack strength, but because they mistake compassion for obligation. They believe that if they can feel someone's pain, they must fix it. They must carry it. They must become the vessel that holds everyone else's unfinished grief. But Jung would shake his head at that. He knew the difference between empathy and possession. He knew that true compassion doesn't require self-erasure. In fact, it demands the opposite, a fierce, almost sacred loyalty to your own center.
Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. Not a gentle rain, but the kind that bends trees and floods rivers. Lightning cracks the sky. Wind howls like something alive and furious. Most people run for shelter, but you stand there. Not because you're reckless, not because you're trying to prove something. You stand because you've learned that the storm is not separate from you. It's moving through you. The electricity is running along your nerves. The rain is sliding down your face. The thunder is vibrating in your ribcage. And yet, you are not swept away. You glow. Not with borrowed light, not with denial, with the quiet, unshakable radiance that comes when the storm has passed through you so many times that you've made peace with its rhythm. Look at this, silhouette against wild energy, holding steady while the world rages. And here, more fierce, more electric, lightning caught in the grip of someone who refuses to break. This is no longer victimhood. This is mastery. Jung understood this mastery better than almost anyone. He lived it. Late in life, people would come to him, kings, paupers, artists, scientists, drawn by the strange calm that surrounded him. He wasn't untouched by suffering. He was profoundly marked by it. But he had learned to carry the marks without letting them define the shape of his soul. He had integrated the opposites. The man who once trembled before his own visions now sat quietly with them, as one might sit with an old friend who has terrible stories but a gentle heart. And this is the invitation extended to every empath who has survived the first descent. You are not meant to remain forever cracked open and bleeding. You are meant to become the alchemist, the one who turns lead into gold, not by magic, but by conscious, patient heat. Every time you feel the collective pain rise in you, you have a choice. You can drown in it, you can numb it, or you can hold it like molten metal in your bare hands, breathe through the burn, and shape it into something useful, something beautiful, something that serves. Here is that alchemist in motion, hands cradling glowing transformation, darkness bending to become light.
This shaping, this transmutation, is where your power becomes untouchable. Not because pain stops arriving at your door, it will always arrive. The world is full of it. But because you no longer identify as the pain itself. You are the one who meets it, who listens to its story, who honors its reality, and then who decides what becomes of it. Some days that decision is small. You listen to a loved one's anger without taking it inside your body. You walk past a stranger's despair and send a silent blessing instead of absorbing it like a sponge. Other days, the decision is enormous. A collective trauma sweeps across the planet, war, loss, injustice, and instead of collapsing under the weight, you channel it. You create. You speak. You hold space. You become a lighthouse in the fog, steady when everything else is swaying. Jung once wrote, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." That sentence is your roadmap. Make the darkness conscious. Yours, theirs, the world's. Don't run toward the light pretending the shadows don't exist. Walk straight into the shadows with a lantern made of your own hard-won awareness. And when you do, something astonishing happens. The darkness doesn't extinguish you. It begins to bow. Because light that has never known darkness is fragile. Light that has lived in darkness, wrestled with it, made a home inside it. That light is unbreakable. So breathe with me now. Feel the weight that's sitting on your chest today, whatever it is. Maybe it's yours. Maybe it belongs to someone else. Maybe it's the whole aching planet whispering through your bones. Don't push it away. Don't apologize for feeling it. Just hold it. Let it be heavy. Let it hurt. And then ask the quiet, dangerous question that changes everything. What wants to be born here? Because your pain is never the end of the story. It's the labor pains. It's the pressure before the crown appears. And when that new thing finally emerges, whether it's wisdom, art, presence, courage, or simply a deeper, kinder version of yourself, it will carry the signature of every tear you refuse to waste. This is the empath's untouchable awakening. Not the end of feeling, the beginning of wielding what you feel like a force of nature. And once you step into that power, once you know in your marrow that the storm can rage around you and through you and still leave you standing, nothing in this world can ever truly touch you again. Not because you're distant, not because you're numb, but because you've become the eye at the center, calm, vast, and profoundly alive. Look at this final image, the perfect stillness in the heart of chaos, where peace reigns even as the world spins wildly around it. Welcome home.